Remember that Tevat chapter trailer? Man, I wanted Cyno so bad back then. Hey everyone, it's Oz. Welcome. Let's talk a bit about Cyno, his kit, and whether I think he's worth rolling for. Well, if you really like him and think he's cool and just want him, then yeah, sure, go ahead. That's what I did. But I haven't really used him much after I got him because his kit is kind of a mess and has a lot of issues. So let's go over what he does. His normal attack talent, Invoker's Spear, is completely useless and raising it is a waste of materials. His skill, Sacred Rite Cosmic Sulfurer, makes him do a little dash, deal some damage and generate energy. It has 7.5 second cooldown normally. And now for the most important part, his burst. Sacred Rite Wolf Swiftness. This makes him enter Pact Sworn Path Clearer state, giving him new normal attack multipliers. They still do scale from normal attack damage. Change his E to instead of a dash do an AoE attack with lower cooldown, 3 seconds, and lower energy generation. The burst also gives Cyno 100 elemental mastery and supposedly increased resistance to interruption. But without the shield he still gets knocked around constantly. The burst has 20 second cooldown and will generally last for 18 seconds. Now for the passives. The first one, Featherfall Judgment, makes it so that every now and then during his burst, this really cool eye effect will pop up, and if you use his skill during the eye effect, the skill will be much stronger. This buff works up to 3 times during his burst. The second passive, Authority over 9 Bows, makes it so that Cyno's damage also scales with elemental mastery. As for his team composition, you will usually use Cyno in Aggravate teams, so Dendro plus Electro, or Quick Bloom teams, so Dendro plus Electro with Slow Hydro Applier, which allows him to profit from Aggravate, and some occasional Hyper Booms. He's often paired with an off-field Dendro unit like Nahida, Kolei or Dendro MC, a second Electro unit like Fischl or Shinobu, and then fourth slot is a bit more flexible and you can use someone like Zhongli, Kokomi, Sucrose, Kazuha, depending on what you want to do. Now, I said his kit has a couple problems, so let's start with the burst. This thing lasts for 18 seconds and has 20 second cooldown. That means that most off-field effects will run out while Cyno is still in his burst. Let's say you use him in Aggravate with Nahida, Zhongli and Fischl. You can use Zhongli's shield right before going to Cyno to protect him during his burst, but that means that Fischl's also will run out like halfway through the burst or even earlier if Fischl is in C6. Also, because Cyno loses his burst state after swapping out, if you kill the enemies early and a new wave spawns, you can't swap to Nahida to use her E on new enemies because you then have to wait for his burst cooldown, making entire rotation a mess. And remember the passive that makes a cool eye effect and buffs your skill? Because you want to benefit from it 3 times and it's kinda hard to time it all without wasting your skill, you have to learn some elaborate attack combos to do. If you're using his best set for his Thundering Fury, this will look something like skill, burst, and then N2E, N4E, N4E, N5E, N4E, N4E. If you're using other sets, it's EQ, N3E, N5E, N5, N2E, N5, N2E. Thanks you Kuching mains for the guide and combos. Now, that looks a bit messy, right? Well, let's say you're using Thundering Fury, which decreases skill cooldown after triggering reactions. And you can't attack your enemy for a bit. And no, let's say that they buried underground, teleported or just one enemy died and you have to move to the other enemy. Well, you couldn't decrease cooldown of your skill, and the combo falls apart and now you can't benefit fully from the passive. Amazing, right? Or I don't know, you just want to dodge because your shield broke or you're not even using Zhongli. Well, have fun tracking your combo after that dodge. And you know what's even better? That Cyno's team damage is similar to Kuching, a standard unit, with a much easier gameplay that doesn't suffer from all those issues. Admittedly, my Kuching is E2 and she uses a 5-star weapon, but her talents are a little less raised. But yes, Kuching is also an Electro main DPS that is great in Aggravate teams. She doesn't really struggle with energy, you can swap out of her pretty much whenever you want, so you can utilize your whole team to the fullest, and if new enemy wave appears, you can just use Nahida's skill on them. Now, it's not like Cyno is useless or something. He can still dish out pretty good damage, and you can clear Spiral Abyss with him. But as much as I do like him, love his design, and his attacks during his burst are probably the coolest attacks in the game, he's difficult to play, his kit has a ton of issues, and his damage is comparable to that of a character you can get from losing 50/50s. and that's why in general I wouldn't recommend rolling for it. Anyway, that's it for today. I hope you enjoyed this rant and well, have a great day. See ya!